Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. It is March 12th, 2019. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a lot of really good information for all of you. And before we go ahead and start getting into all of this information, I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to get their lightning speed notifications from YouTube, and I'm going to pull up the live chat so we can see everybody. Just give me 1 second here. Alrighty, got that going. Okay, folks. I was doing a little research over the last couple of days, and we're going to be talking about, well, I can't even say the word. But you know what this word is. It's staring at you right on your screen. Solar geoengineering. There's other words for it. Other scientists are now calling it stratospheric aerosol injection. We know of it by one key word. But because of how YouTube is working now, their algorithm actually reads every single one of my words and places it into a transcript. And if they catch key words, well, you know what they do. So we're just going to refer to that one key word that I'm referring to that begins with a C, H, E, M, T, R, A, I, L. Okay, you guys got it. If you can't spell, hey, nothing I could do for you there. You should have paid attention when you were in grade school. But anyways, folks, I think it was yesterday. Once again, Harvard University, Harvard, is dipping their nose into this subject matter that I'm about to discuss with all of you. And I want you to bear with me. I don't want you to go anywhere. I want you to just sit tight, pay attention to all of the information that I'm going to show you, because it's going to involve a couple of videos. Two of them are about 8 minutes long, and I think one of them is about 5 minutes long. Okay? None of this information should bore you to death. And for all of us that have been ridiculed and called liars when referring to this subject matter that I'm going to get into here with all of you. You know, I've been researching this and I started noticing these lines in the sky. We'll just say that, okay? I've been noticing these going all the way back to 2005. And in 2009, because I was publicizing it on Facebook deleted my personal Facebook page. Never given a reason why. Wasn't doing anything bad. However, I was taking photographs daily of these lines in the sky. And I don't know. I guess they didn't like it. Now all of a sudden, we are in the process of what I refer to as soft disclosure, meaning they're inventing other names for this process that we see in the skies above each and every day. And now they've come up with another name, this solar geoengineering. This is the first I've heard of that. I caught the stratospheric aerosol injection new code name a few months ago. Now this. And apparently, Harvard and Yale, several other universities have delved into this subject matter. And now there's like this big dispute going on whether or not this is safe. Are you joking? So, folks, basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to trick us into thinking that this process that they want to get into in the future to, quote, save our planet, they want us to think that this is something that they're going to get into and that they are proposing. But we know damn well that they've been doing this for a very, very, very long time. Because there's been so much exposure with the power of social media and naturally the internet, and now everybody has a cell phone stuck in their face damn near 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For God's sakes, people go to the bathroom and sit on the toilet and, they have their cell phone with them. People sleep with their cell phone. So it's very easy now for information to literally race across the world in a blink of an eye. But as I was reading this information earlier this morning, I said to myself, oh, come on, man. They're playing us for fools. They want us to literally think that this process is new. Excuse me, I just had to take a breath. It absolutely disgusts me that they think that we're so stupid. But I'm going to go ahead and get into these few articles, folks. And, each and every one of you that know exactly what I'm talking about, this should really make you mad. And this should also make you question everything once again. I've also been continuing my in-depth research into this so-called climate change. Over the last couple of days, I've had some very, very deep and long conversations with my climatology friend, and folks, I really have to say I'm not sitting here and trying to scare the crap out of all of you. But I truly think, well, let me rephrase that. I truly know that things are going to change abruptly right before our very eyes. And there is absolutely nothing that mankind can do. There is nothing that big government can do. These processes that are occurring now are going to worsen. One of the bigger issues is big government can't hide it. They just can't hide it. Because each and every one of you you have to go outside, you have to go to work, you have to go to the grocery store. You're going to go outside. You're living on this planet, so therefore you are going to experience all of this. I had a very deep conversation with a very good friend of mine yesterday, and we continued the conversation again this morning. And it was all revolving around what's happening and what is going to happen. And I do have to say that halfway through our conversation, his voice was getting pretty shaky. But anyways, folks, we really have to start paying attention to what's happening. At this point in time, forget about the Planet X research because, like I've said before, I will say it again, we've already disclosed all of the evidence, the observational evidence that we were able to obtain over the years, and we've proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that this object, it's definitely out there near the sun, and it's wreaking havoc on the sun. One of the other factors that is not in our favor is the fact that the sun is going into its natural solar minimum. That is actually going to worsen this process. As I've mentioned before, the Earth's magnetic shield, as we'll call it, relies on the sun's output. So during a solar minimum, the sun's output naturally is less. Therefore, the Earth's magnetic shield weakens. More cosmic rays, more solar radiation, more exposure to CMEs, the solar wind. Well, that exposure intensifies tenfold, 100-fold. That wreaks havoc on our planet. That process of solar minimum has happened many, many times before. But the problem is we didn't have that X factor like we do now. I could feel my blood pressure going sky high already. I don't know what more to do, folks, other than to tell all of you about this. And, you know, you can believe me or not. You can call me a lunatic. You can call me a liar. Some of the other people out there call me a criminal because I want to discuss this with people, and I think people have the right to know. Name calling doesn't bother me. I get it on a daily basis. But the fact of the matter is, these people with the big mouths, they're going to be eating crow real fast. I don't have exact timelines on all of this other than to say, as each tick of the clock goes by, it gets worse. Each and every day, each and every month. And as we move further and further into this solar minimum, things are going to get dangerous. Very, very dangerous. There's not going to be a man, woman, or child on this planet that will be able to run and hide from what is occurring. So keep that in your mind. What we're dealing with now is something that you just don't want to play around with. You want to learn. You want to ingest as much information as you can. And I'm telling you, folks, you're going to have to make some form of preparations. I know a lot of you don't have boatloads of money that you can go out and do all of these things for preparedness, but try to accomplish a little bit of something each and every month. Whether it's, continuing to buy canned goods and putting those away, distilled water, forms of light, flashlights. I would definitely say just buy these little LED lanterns and make sure you get the proper batteries for these little lanterns. As the weather gets worse and worse and worse, make sure that you have literally emergency escape routes. If all of you don't have weather apps on your cell phones, listen, download one that gives you alerts. Pay attention to your weather. I mentioned last week that, parts of the Midwest and the southern Midwest were going to be under intense danger once again. Well, it happened again, and it's about to happen again. The state of Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, all of these areas are going to get pounded again. It's probably going to start maybe either sometime late this evening, early tomorrow. And it's just the way that these jet streams are pulling this hot air from down below and pushing cold air from above. And the convergent points, they're within these areas of northern Texas, Alabama, Louisiana. I mentioned all of this to you guys the last couple of live streams that I've done. I had one wise ass leave a comment in the comment section of one of my latest videos where I was showing you guys some weather reporting information. And they said, "Oh, what do you do? Work for the Weather Channel now, Scott?" And I said, "No, I work for your mama." Folks, it's wise ass people like that will be the first person to cry like a baby when all hell breaks loose. If all of you have been listening to me for quite some time, I've told all of you before, I've been a weather watcher for 25 years now. I actually forecast weather better than my own local weatherman, my own local meteorologist that I watch on TV here in the Pittsburgh area. I have access to all of the same information that they do. I don't know. Maybe I understand it more. Maybe because, these television stations, these news stations are, under the gun because they're big corporate CBS, NBC, ABC. They just give the forecast and blah, blah, blah. But I see what's happening. And it's not hard to sit down for about 30 minutes and look at several of these models, look at the jet stream, watch the highs and the lows, and calculate their convergence points. And you know damn well that, that's going to be a bad situation. And we're going to be looking at more and more and more of this tornado activity. And tornadoes, as you all know, I don't have to sit here and preach to you about the damage that tornadoes can and will do. But we're getting into this time period where it's just not going to be one tornado, folks. The ability for 5, 10, 15, 20 tornadoes spawning simultaneously throughout a region and just ripping everything to hell. It's knocking on our back door. And if any of you think that I'm fooling around or I'm just sitting here fear-mongering, get off of my YouTube channel and, just go bury your head in the sand. Don't listen to what I'm telling you. Just turn on the news. And like I said, one day, something like this is going to affect you personally or your family. Just like the family 2 weeks ago in Alabama that lost 7 members of their family in one day. 7 funerals. 7. So don't be a wise ass. Don't leave me stupid comments. Unless you're a troll, baby, then I'll expect them. Each and everybody listening to my voice now, you folks need to take what I'm saying very, very seriously. It's no joke. We are literally moving into some very, very violent times with our weather. We are also going to see substantial sea rise in the oceans. How much? I don't know. That's going to be left up to Mother Nature. But we also have some very severe situations brewing once again, as I keep telling all of you, in the North Pole, in the Arctic. As we move further and further into the springtime in the Northern Hemisphere, that new ice, because that's all left, there's something called albedo. Albedo simply means light reflectivity off of a white surface. You guys can look it up and read about it. Albedo. So this albedo factor in the North Pole is very critical because old, thick ice has more reflectivity, whereas new, thin ice does not. Plus, it melts faster. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. There are also some other factors that are brewing in the North Pole because a lot of very warm air is being sucked up into the North Pole along the eastern coast of Greenland. That has been happening now. Well, I've been charting that now since about 2016. Each year that goes by, it gets worse. So, when that warm air gets sucked up into the North Pole, what happens? Well, we have ice melt. And the water temperature leading up to this region is also warming up substantially. I'm not making this up. All of these factors are very, very critical. And, you can sit there and you wonder why we are having such wild weather. Well, these are the reasons why. Is any of this going anywhere? No, it is not. Do the governments have any solutions? No, they do not. You know, over the last couple of weeks, folks, I'll be dead honest with you. I've been doing a lot of soul searching, you know. Maybe that's why my blood pressure is sky high. I don't know. You know, I'm just in a constant worry pattern every day. I don't want to see all of these things happen to humanity. But it's going to happen. And I think as time goes on, more and more people with a big mouth like me are going to start coming to the forefront and discussing this. Just like the government. Just like the government has. Now, all of a sudden, the little pansy-ass politicians are all out there crying the blues about, you know, the climate, the climate, the climate. Oh, we have to do something. Now, it's too late for all of that. And there's nothing that you can do. Look, there's all kinds of scientists out there that will say this and say that. They don't truly know what's going on. They don't want to lose their government funding. You know, that's a fact. But now that I've grabbed all of your attention, this newest article coming out from Harvard University, I read it several times. I'm not amused by it. I'm actually pretty disgusted that some of the best minds in the world choose to involve themselves in this soft disclosure of solar geoengineering. And also, folks, I'm going to share a photograph with you that I took yesterday, and it's going to blow your mind. Sometimes I don't know how I come up with these photographs. I don't know if there's a higher being, a higher force of energy that tells me, Scott, point the camera up in the sky right now, stop the car, get out, point the camera up there, take the photograph. You won't be sorry. I had one of those days yesterday. We'll get to that. So again, I'm going to be showing you guys 3 video clips. 2 of them are about 8 minutes long. One of them is 5 minutes long. I'm going to show you these articles. I'm going to give you the links in the live chat. And after the live stream's over, I'll put these links in the description box under the video. You can come back later on and check them out. I'll also share these links over on the Planet X News Facebook page. You guys can check them out. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be writing a complete article on all of the information that I've gathered about this. But now, all of a sudden, folks, all of the lines in the sky, yeah, they want you to think that, you know, those are natural. We know they're not. But in a short time, because of this little soft disclosure crap that they're doing, they'll be saying, "Oh, well, you know, we disclosed all of this. We told you all of this. Remember? It's called solar geoengineering. Stratospheric aerosol injection. Remember?" And for all of the newcomers out there that are not enlightened They won't know the difference, little snowflakes. But anyways, folks, let's check this out. Here is the article that came out yesterday. Harvard University, Mr. John A. Paulson, School of Engineering and Applied Science. The heading of this article states, "Finding the Right Dose for Solar Geoengineering." Finding the right dose. Sounds like they're about to give you a shot. Basically, that's what they're telling you that they're already doing. Maybe they're going to change a few things. But what they're doing, folks, is they want to block out the sun. The Earth is not cooling at this point. The Earth is heating up. So if the Earth is heating up, then blocking out the sun and the harmful radiation and cosmic rays, well, this does sound like a good idea. But folks, when they're spraying chemicals in the atmosphere and in the air, what do you think is going to happen? Every living, breathing creature, including plant life on this earth, will be affected. This may be one of the leading causes for the increase in asthma and lung-related illnesses. Illnesses in general. When I read this article, and again, I read it 3 times just to piss me off, but it did. It made me very, very mad that here we are in the year 2019, and they've known about this for decades. And now all of a sudden, they want to put this putrid soft disclosure out there and hope people, they want to hope people like me push you forward to this information so you can absorb it. And what do? You absorb their names that they classify these procedures under: solar geoengineering. So they're admitting that the global temperatures are increasing and the climate change will get worse. Well, here's the thing, folks. Unless you're going to drop dead tomorrow, if you're in your teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even your 60s, and you're going to live another 10 years, wow, you are in for the ride of your life. It's not going to be a fun ride either. There are some of the things that are in this article that I do not agree with, because this article basically is kind of pandering to the science world, and it's almost like they're trying to sell this solar geoengineering concept to you. Not a damn concept, folks. They've been doing it for decades, which means they've known about all of this for decades. But again, because of people like me and a lot of other people that have brought all of this to the forefront and informed all of you, and all of you are talking about it, and all of you are pointing up and taking your photographs and posting them on social media, well, they don't have a choice. They have to come out there and they have to start talking about it. So this engineer, Mr. Paulson, John A. Paulson from Harvard, he's been putting all of this solar geoengineering together, and he has his critics. I'm one of them. But here's a video within this Harvard article, and again, I'm going to share these article links on the Planet X News Facebook page. I will put these in the description box as soon as this live stream is done. I will also put them in the live stream chat. You guys can click on it later on and go and read it for yourself. Read it real good. And it will let you know what they're planning. But the fact of the matter is, it's not that they're planning it. They're already doing this. We know. But I'm going to go ahead and play this. It's 5 minutes long. Listen to it. But understand that what's being said in this video is not the whole truth. You have to hear both ends to fully understand what's happening and what's going to happen. It's inevitable. Here we go.
Solar geoengineering describes a set of proposals to reflect sunlight to reduce climate change. It can't get us out of the climate problem. We must cut greenhouse gas emissions. And it can't tackle all the risks posed by rising CO2 concentrations. But could a combination of emissions cuts and solar geoengineering be less dangerous than emissions cuts alone? This is the question we address in our paper. It's worth taking a moment to take on a common misunderstanding about solar geoengineering. Previous studies have found that if all warming from rising CO2 was offset by solar geoengineering, there'd be less rain overall. This has led some to worry that it would inevitably cause droughts. However, there are two things to bear in mind here. First, under global warming, there is an increase in global mean rainfall, so something which reverses this could be valuable. Second, while it seems reasonable to assume that less rain means that things are drier, in fact, what matters more for ecosystems and farmers is water availability. That's rainfall minus evaporation. Solar geoengineering tends to reduce rainfall, but it also reduces evaporation. So, depending on what happens to evaporation, a decrease in rainfall may be associated with an increase in water availability. Rather than offsetting all global warming, as most studies of solar geoengineering do, we focus on a scenario where it offsets only half the warming. We are interested in solar geoengineering playing a supporting role to emissions cuts. We use a very high resolution model, which is particularly good at simulating extreme rainfall and tropical cyclones. And this is the first time that this kind of model has been used for solar geoengineering. We also focus on a larger and more policy relevant set of climate variables than previous studies. Almost all similar studies looked at only temperature and precipitation. We look at mean and maximum temperature, precipitation minus evaporation, which tells us about water availability, maximum 5-day precipitation, which tells us about flood risks, and a measure of the intensity of tropical storms. What did we find? First, we found that by halving warming, our scenario roughly halved the changes in all variables. Solar geoengineering reduces climate changes from water availability and extreme precipitation change just as it does for temperature. We also found that our scenario offsets over 85% of the increase in the intensity of tropical cyclones, including hurricanes. So, we found that it reduces climate changes overall, but the big question is, would some regions be made worse off? We find that halving warming with solar geoengineering cools everywhere. It also moderates, or reduces the magnitude of, changes in water availability and extreme precipitation in many places, without exacerbating change in any large region. One thing to note, our study is highly idealized. We doubled CO2 concentrations and represented solar geoengineering by turning down the sun. So, why stop at halving? If solar geoengineering works so well, why not offset all warming? Well, up until around halving warming, solar geoengineering does reduce overall change in all variables. But after this point, there isn't much improvement for water availability and extreme precipitation. In fact, the fraction of places that see climate change exacerbated grows steeply. Our findings suggest that some of the problems identified in earlier studies, where solar geoengineering offset all warming, were examples of the old adage that the dose makes the poison. The analogy is not perfect, but solar geoengineering is a little like a drug which treats high blood pressure. An overdose would be harmful, but a well-chosen dose could reduce your risks. Of course, it's better to not have high blood pressure in the first place, but once you have it, along with making healthier lifestyle choices, it's worth considering treatments that could lower your risks. While it seems reasonable to assume that solar geoengineering would inevitably lead to winners and losers, with some regions suffering greater harms, our work challenges this assumption. We find a large reduction in climate change overall without much greater change to any region if solar geoengineering halved warming. Solar geoengineering is not a solution to climate change. We have to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But if alongside emissions cuts we were to also halve warming with solar geoengineering, we may face much lower climate risks than if we were to only cut emissions.
Well, here he goes again with the greenhouse gases, and I don't know, folks. You know, some of what he is saying is true, and if you don't understand what they're talking about, they're talking about cooling the planet. And whenever we do have precipitation, meaning rain, because the planet is warming, we would have less evaporation, which would be a good model. So that portion of what he's talking about, I actually agree with. But I don't like the way that they're going to go about it. The only way to block out the sun is, to perform the stratospheric aerosol injection, as they call it, the big C word. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and put this link in the chat. And like I said, I'll leave a link for this article in the or on the Planet X News Facebook page. Funny how he was referring and making the assimilation to blood pressure. Yeah. And then, this next article, this is from today. Harvard scientists say their wild plan to dim the sun could actually work. This was written by Peter Doctorow. For something that's supposed to help save the planet, solar geoengineering sure has a lot of enemies. Critics warn that artificially reflecting sunlight to cool the planet could unleash drastic, unintended consequences. But a Harvard-led team of scientists insist that such fears are overblown. Like I said, folks, there's a lot of critics to what they're doing, and they have to do this soft disclosure. Okay? And in this article, once again, they share this video from Mr. Paulson that we just watched. A lot of good information here. As you can see, the article is quite lengthy. But this gives you both sides of the story. And that's something that you guys have to ingest. And I guess what I mean is, the good and the bad. I don't think there's any good in this. But look, folks, they've been doing it for decades already. Let me tell you a little story real quick. 2 weeks ago, I got an inbox message from a very nice man. I believe he lives up in, I believe it's the northern Montreal, Canada area. And he has a huge crop of maple trees, and he harvests maple syrup. And over the last several years, he's noticed a big decline in the syrup production, the sap from the trees. He's also noticed an onslaught of trees dying. And he went ahead and started taking soil samples. And we had a very long discussion, and he was asking me my opinion on what was happening because he got the results back from the lab. And the results were off the chart as far as aluminum. Aluminum. Very, very high amounts of aluminum in the soil. And he asked me if I felt that the spraying in the skies had anything to do with it, for sure, because he sees it constantly. And I'm like, well, you're holding the proof in your hands. And he's going to be taking more samples now, and he's going to do more testing, and he's going to share the results with me. And he was also asking me, what do I think his region of Canada is going to be in for in the future? And that eastern region of Canada they're going to have some really, really wild weather in the spring and the summer again. And, Canada is also part of this network that crisscrosses our skies on a daily basis. You might as well say just about every single country that's involved in the European Union or the United Nations is involved in this. So just about the whole damn world. But anyways, this is a good read also to catch the other side of it. I'll put it in the live chat. You guys can read about it. If you want to break down, and if you guys do your own videos on your YouTube channels, there's a good time to disclose some of this information. This article came out in November 26th of 2018, just a few months ago. The heading: policy advisors from Yale and Harvard propose spending $2.25 billion per year on geoengineering, aka bingo, there's your word. So, again, they act like this is something new, when in fact they've been doing it for decades, which means they all knew that the problem was there. They just didn't say anything to us. These are the things that make me mad. Because all of us that are taxpayers Well, we're paying all these politicians and government workers. We're paying for all of these little secret programs to literally just poison the skies. They're using our money. They're using our money to slowly kill us. Isn't that something? But anyways, I'll share this article with all of you guys, and it's pretty good. It goes into this is actually an abstract, and this was written. The summary was written by a gentleman by the name of J.W. Williams, and it states that a new research paper on financing geoengineering environmental research letters proposes stratospheric aerosol injection, SAI, supposedly to fight against global warming. The technique involves launching sulfate particles into the Earth's lower stratosphere at altitudes up to 12 miles high using what? An airliner-sized tanker. They estimated that 4,000 flights would be required the first year at a cost of $2.25 billion. Yeah. Who's paying for that? Yeah, we are. But I'm not going to bore you with the whole entire article. I will, again, I'll put the information out there in the live chat. You guys can find this article later on after this live stream. I will share all three of these articles on the Planet X News Facebook page. And let's go ahead and jump into this article. And this came out April 23rd, 2018, just last spring. So almost a year ago. Springfield, Vermont News. And again, this just goes to show you how long these top universities and professors and scientists have been at this. Harvard professor, geoengineering could kill many tens of thousands of people a year. So, the people at these universities, they're getting some backlash from their own constituents. Maybe we are reaching the point in time when some of these people in academia are growing some cojones and they're saying something. We're not just leaving it up to people like me and others. But this was good information right here. And they want you to think that what you see right here, oh, well, you know, they tell us that, oh, that's just airplanes zipping back and forth. What a crock. So when the troll babies tell you that those are natural formations of ice crystals left behind from airplanes, you know, just reach out there and give them a good slap. Because they're lying right to your face, and each and every one of you that are listening to me now you know better. Again, this is just all part of their soft disclosure. This is all just their little ruse. Now, here is an 8-minute video. And I have listened to this lady that's in this video. Her name is Kristen Megan. And she is a U.S. Air Force whistleblower. And she has her critics, and she has a whole host of troll babies that follow her and try to make her life absolutely miserable. But I have to give Kristen a lot of credit because she's a tough woman. They do not scare her, and she preaches about this subject matter openly at seminars. And she's been talking about this for quite many years. This is one of the recent interviews from her. It's 8 minutes long. Don't go anywhere. Sit right here and listen to it with me. And she's going to clue you in on some of this inside information because she was with the U.S. Air Force. She was enlisted. And where do we get some of the most critical information? Are from people who are whistleblowers. From people who actually have a backbone and knew what they were seeing and involved in at points in time was wrong. I'm going to go ahead and play this interview, and don't go anywhere. For the next 8 minutes and 11 seconds, just listen.
This is Luke Radowski of WeAreChange.org, and I'm here with Kristen Megan, who's actually a U.S. military whistleblower. She has an amazing, fascinating story that we will share with you here today. Now, Kristen, can you tell us what branch of the military you were in and what you uncovered?
Sure. I was in the Air Force on active duty for 9 years, and I worked in bioenvironmental engineering.
And now, I know the issue came up with chemtrails. I know that's an extremely controversial issue. A lot of people are extremely divided on this issue, but you actually saw things from your experiences that kind of give it a little bit more validity than I actually saw ever before. Can you go into the details of exactly what you saw?
Yeah, basically, to summarize it, part of my job was to know everything that was going on in the military and what type of impact that might have on human health, and then the environmental aspects and impacts. What chemicals are we using? How are we disposing of it? Kind of cradle to grave. So we were the internal compliance people for following OSHA and EPA standards. One part of that process was to approve chemicals, hazardous materials. You know, what are you using? Why do you need it? Where's it being used? And tracking that disposal. After it being brought to my attention about chemtrails or geoengineering, I used to think it was crazy. It actually was disrespectful to my line of work because here we are trying to prevent environmental aspects and impacts and not have anybody get sick from our operations. But in an attempt to debunk, it changed my life. I started noticing things. I started noticing large quantities on the system where I would approve chemicals that did not have a manufacturer name, wasn't tied to a building, and that was normal protocol. When I started asking questions, I slowly became demonized. A couple years passed after that when I asked again and people realized I was kind of being more vocal about it on social media. I was starting to be thrown into a mental institution and have my daughter taken away.
Wow.
That changed my life. I no longer view the military the same way, and I feel like after 9 years of trying to uphold an oath, I'm able to do that now.
And so you uncovered a lot of these hidden chemicals. Where's the connection with the chemtrails?
Well, the connection is, at first, when I saw these large quantities of aluminum, barium, strontium oxides and sulfates, I thought, well, this could be for an industrialized process for something called shot peening or, bead blasting, things that you see in kind of the automotive industry. Except those were already accounted for. I already knew how much was used for those processes. It was a little type of different constituent. And the first thing I did, part of my job was to sample air, soil, and water. So that's what I did. I air sampled the soil, the air, and the water. And due to my profession, I know at which levels or limits of detection you need to check that at. And the amount of pollution that was in my area, and this is tests I did in Oklahoma, in Georgia, in Chicago where I'm now. But in taking those samples, I knew the background, because a lot of these things are naturally occurring and elemental, but not in this form and not in this quantity. So how did it get there?
So just to clarify, you see these huge storage containers of these chemicals. Then you do the test on the air and soil, and you see these same chemicals in the air and soil now. And that's pretty much been the main evidence I've seen people who are for chemtrails use, is saying, look at the soil, look at the water, look at all the chemicals in there. And now you're finally the person who's like, wait, I worked in the military, I saw a bunch of these chemicals there. That's crazy.
It is crazy. I used to think it was crazy, and everyone asks, why are there no pictures?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see you try to take a picture inside of a restricted air hangar, because you'll have an M16 in your back. Yeah. And the hardest part for people to realize is, where are the pilots? Like, there's people who have come forward, but these people are scared. You look at what's happened to whistleblowers, look at Snowden, look at Manning. People are scared. And I think because this topic is already labeled a conspiracy theory, I don't think the government necessarily views me as a threat yet. And I know it's not the most safe thing to do, but it's the right thing to do.
It's laughed at. It's made obscure. But just to bring the point home, the question I have is, why are they even chemtrailing? Why is the military and government chemtrailing us? I don't know. What's your understanding of it?
Well, I don't have anything that can solidify, but I do have my opinions, and that is the history of weather weaponry. I mean, you can take away people's monetary system, you can take away people's rights, but you take their food and you disable their ecosystem, that's the number one way to handicap people. And they've done it since the 40s, it's not new. Also seeing how it started out to be a government program, and then noticing that it is a way for private corporations to profit off this, whether it's controlling agriculture, profiting. There's certain events, you lose money on if it rains, so knowing that you can kind of predict and control the weather, there's money there. I've also, heard that it could be tied to Agenda 21, but for me, it's not about why. It's just stopping it. It needs to be stopped.
Yeah, and it's called the crazy-ass conspiracy theory. The Chinese are doing it now, openly. They did it for the Olympics.
I mean, they've sprayed people. I'm sure you've heard the St. Louis story. They did biological testing. So if the government is capable of doing that, why is it so hard for people to believe? And I don't know if you've heard about David Keith, but he's actually a geoengineer, Canadian. He works at Harvard. He just wrote a new book on climate engineering, and inadvertently he's brought more awareness to this, because I feel they're getting ready to admit it, and they're trying to sell it to us. It's kind of like they sell vaccines to us, they sell fluoride to us. Fluoride is a mining waste product. Well, how can we make that good? Put it in your water. So I think that they're trying to now kind of admit it and act like they're going to start doing it, and they've already been doing it.
Well, there you go.
So where's the fight taking you?
There you go, folks. Right there, what she just said is the absolute truth. Now, I've tried to get in touch with Kristen a couple of times, and I've actually failed, because I wanted to show her the research that myself and Dr. Albers has done. And also, I wanted to disclose all of the sun simulator evidence that Jeff P. has come up with. And again, if you guys do not follow Jeff P.'s YouTube channel, get over there and make sure that you are subscribed, because Jeff has uncovered some of the best hardcore evidence for a sun simulator. And I think that is one of the biggest ways that they are literally trying to fool us. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put, I put this link in the description box, or not the description box, the live chat. If not, I'll go ahead and put it in there again. And this next tidbit of information, you guys are going to find this pretty crazy. But this has actually been going on for quite some time out there in our oceans. And they literally have very, very large vessels. These ships are very similar to container ships that ship all of the big containers across the oceans. But they're a little bit different. They have the ability through these large stacks. Now, this is a new futuristic model right here. Okay. This new vessel will be pumping a limestone aerosol into the sky across the oceans. What exactly they're going to be doing with this operation? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But folks, they've been doing this. They've been doing this already. But I believe that they've been using probably the chemtrail solution. And we wonder why all of a sudden these hurricanes get so strong, so fast. And this new weapon seems to be quite stealthy looking. And this is not something that I made up. I've actually been holding on to this article, and I saved this article in my computer years ago. You could see the date right up here, December 16th, 2016. Okay, they've already started this. Okay, atmospheric limestone dust injection could halt global warming. Yeah. Stratospheric solar geoengineering without ozone loss. So they're basically claiming that the limestone aerosol injections into the air will not harm the ozone. But as you can see, going back 3 years ago, they were already doing this. So just like Kristen said in the video, they want you to think that this is now a proposal for the very near future. But it's not. It's just soft disclosure. They've already been doing it for decades. And you guys should read this. I will put this into the live chat. And again, I will put these articles on the Planet X News Facebook page for all of you to check them out and read it all. I'm going to be putting together a full-scale article on all of this tomorrow morning, and I will have that available on the Planet X News website. And I'm going to gather some more info. And I'm going to put it all together in one hellacious, damning article. Now, I want to show you guys a photograph that I talked about in the beginning. I took this photograph. Oops, wrong file. I took this photograph yesterday. And I was pretty blown away at what I saw. And I was actually on my way to Walmart to take my blood pressure test. And like I said, there's just, I don't know, I guess some higher form of energy that tells me, Scott, stop the car. Get out, take a picture. And I did just that. Nothing has been changed in this photograph. No lighting changes, no filters, no nothing. I want you to take a look at the square box right here. You see how that's square? And then, what do you see behind this weird shaped cloud? This big cloud formation stretched through the sky for miles. Look at the grid pattern. You see the dark squares? Yeah. What do all of you think about that? What are you going to say about that? Oh, that's normal? What world are you living in? What planet are you on? So we got a square box, 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle. And then up here, we have a grid of square boxes. Does anybody have any viable explanation for what I'm showing you on your screen right now? Whenever I took this photograph, I didn't see this on my cell phone screen. Later on, whenever I got home, I pulled up the photographs on my big high definition flat screen monitor, and I said, what in the hell is that? And I called Dr. Albers over, and I said, look, I'm not going to pinpoint anything in this picture. I want you to tell me what you see. And her eyeballs were getting pretty big, and she pointed right to the screen. And she said, wow, look at the square sun. Look at the grid. I mean, you spot it instantaneously. And then my main man, Mark, over there at the Blue Kool-Aid channel, I sent him the photograph. And he put it through a couple of filters himself, and he was checking it out. He said the same damn thing. What the hell is that? So did we actually capture some type of superimposed impression coming from the sun simulator? Because if somebody has a really good explanation for my photograph, I'd love to hear it. I mean, what do you guys think? Definitely looks like some type of grid pattern. No doubt about it. I did take another photograph, and I kind of dulled this down a little bit. And even though I dulled the picture a little bit, you can see the square sun, whatever the hell you want to call it, sun simulator, not natural. Nice 90-degree angle, boom, boom, boom. And then you have your little grid pattern. And that is just undeniable and perfect. Really weird. Really, really weird. And like I said, folks, whatever this cloud pattern was, I gotta say, man, it was huge. Miles and miles long. And it just blew my mind. Now, earlier today, I stepped out. We had a crystal clear day. My local weatherman said that it would be a beautiful, clear day. All day. Well, it wasn't. Because by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the pilots came out. And they started doing their dance. And look what they were doing. And look what they created. You could see one right here. Here's the rays of the whatever. And I watch these planes very, very closely. And these planes are fast. These jets, these jumbo jets that they're using, man, they are fast. I definitely think that they are much, much faster than a passenger airliner. Because at the rate of speed that they move across the sky is incredible. And again, folks, if you know anything about FAA regulations, what you're looking at on your screen right now would be referred to as a near mid-air collision. You'd lose your pilot's license unless you were authorized to do this. And you could see the leading plane right here, and he just crisscrossed another plane here. And the video that I'm about to show you now is incredible. And you're going to see an up-close video from a pilot's perspective of what you're seeing on your screen right now. And it's going to blow your mind. I think there are some pilots out there that may be involved in this program, and they've been doing their own little documentation. Yeah, I'm going to get to that video real quick. So this was a shot that I took, and again, you have the leading edge of the plane here, the leading edge of the plane there, perfect crisscross, right in the middle, and they passed each other's path. And again, folks, you know damn well that that is not legal. And you could see one here, but you can see as everything disperses, you can see what occurs. Now, it was a decent day earlier. Met a friend for lunch at around 12:30 in the afternoon, and by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when we should have been peaking pretty close to our high temperature, the temperature actually went down a few degrees. Why? Because they blocked out the sun, or whatever the hell that is up there. Yeah. And this is what it started to look like. And then by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, forget about it. It was gray, crappy, and cooler. But you've all seen all these pictures before. Let's get into that video. This video that was sent to me today, woo, man, this blew my mind. I haven't seen a video like this before, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it up right now. You guys check this out.
Yeah. Two of them, huh? It's a 747. See how that is? Yeah.
Amazing.
Now, folks, what you're seeing right here, there was no sound to this part of the video. But again, you have two planes. One is a large jet airliner. The other is a smaller plane. And do you think that FAA regulations allow these types of flight patterns? Absolutely not. Any type of mishap, you could have a mid-air collision. And this is some of the most... Let me just turn that down for a second. This is some of the most damning evidence that I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of this. But from this perspective, well, this just goes to show you exactly what they've been doing. I'm going to go ahead and turn the volume back up so you guys can actually listen to what the pilots are saying. I detected Russian language. I detected what seemed to be like maybe Middle Eastern and also French. But let's listen.
running brake. Peel off. Hope he doesn't peel off upwards because
Yeah.
itch and gets itch. Thanks for a great photo.
They will probably delete my YouTube channel after showing you guys all of this. But, you know, folks, look, it is what it is. The pilot showing you on his little radar there the positioning of the planes that are out in front of him. And yeah, man, this is some pretty wild footage. There was something that I wanted to refer to here real quick. Let me get to that point. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Give me a second here, folks. Let's just go. Oh man, I did it again. If any of you guys follow okay. I wanted to make sure I had my microphone turned back on. If any of you guys follow Dave Dobbs and you've seen those videos that I believe Becky Lewis made back in, I think it was maybe 2016, 17, and some pretty incredible, wild-looking footage. And, you know, Dave Dobbs was doing a video again today with his whole Nibiru model and the whole 9 yards. And he was actually out there asking for a $5,000 donation for his political fund. But, you know, Dave refers to this formation that you're seeing right here in front of you with sunlight behind it, which illuminates it into this crazy looking burnt orange pattern. And, you know, he refers to that as Nibiru crossing through our skies. And folks, if you're listening to any of that garbage, that is exactly what it is. That's a complete lie. That's a complete line of BS. If any type of planetary object like that would be visible with the naked eye streaking through the upper atmosphere of our planet, well, we wouldn't have a planet. So once again, folks, I hate to slam people, but we need to get down to the absolute truth, okay? These aren't fundraising campaigns. We shouldn't be doing that. And I don't appreciate other YouTube channels deceiving all of you. So whenever you see these videos and there's something streaking across the sky that looks similar to what you're seeing there now, but it's burnt orange in the background because the so-called sun is going down and there's already chemtrails in the sky, and you get that illumination within the aerosol injection. It's not a damn planet streaking through the sky, folks. That's what you're looking at. It's very, very similar to what he shows everybody in this supposed timeline. It's all a crock of shit. And then at the end of his video, he tells everybody, oh, I'm going to run for political office back in my home country of the UK, and I need $5,000. So can all of you help me? I'm still living in my van in the mountains. Ladies and gentlemen, my point is, be very careful where you're getting your information. Use some common sense and think about it. We are living in a very, very critical time right now. It's perfectly fine for all of you to have your faith in your own religious beliefs. But what we're viewing in our skies, what is being done to our planet, really truly doesn't have anything to do with the Bible. However, throughout history, hundreds, thousands, possibly even tens of thousands of years ago, events have occurred. We can relate back to the Bible and research those incidents. But what is happening now wasn't written in the Bible. It's not history yet. We're living in the present. And again, don't take offense to what I'm saying. But there have been events throughout man's history that we can relate to, and we can relate some of these things that are occurring. I was reading up today on some information that I was really trying to absorb, and it was in relation to an event that occurred. Let me go ahead and just get out of here. And it was in relation to an event that occurred, I believe that it was back in the year 660 BC. And science and scientists believe that in that year of 1660 BC, there was a major solar flash that rocked the earth, caused a lot of damage. So we can go back in history and we can find events that have occurred that have done damage to our planet. Remember, folks, we live in a big solar system. We live in a big galaxy. The galaxy lies within an infinite universe. So therefore, every once in a while, something's going to come by and change everything. But what we are living through now is not yet history. What we're living through now is the present. And for all of those other YouTubers out there that are pushing you to fund their operations, to fund their campaigns, don't fall for it. Keep your money for yourself. Remember what I said in the very beginning of this live stream. Things are getting very, very, very dicey with our weather. It's going to be getting worse. Spend your money on yourselves. Start preparing, start getting those food items, those water items, the medical kit. And I think you should definitely have a medical kit, maybe even put one together for yourself. Batteries, a form of light, a form of protection. We still have quite a bit of time, I hope. But these disasters, these natural, I really hate to use that word natural disaster, but you know, that's kind of what they are when we're dealing with, these weather disasters. You just have to be prepared, because at any given time, something really drastic can occur. Right now, I've been getting so many emails and inbox messages from our brothers and sisters down there in Brazil, undergoing absolutely devastating flooding. Devastating. Things are going to be changing around the world every tick of the clock. Every day that goes by from this point on. So don't be fooled by the charlatans out there trying to make a quick buck on you. Don't send them your money. Take that money and buy something for yourself for the very near future that's going to preserve your existence and protect your family. That's the best advice that I can give